Well, big news in the UK over the weekend. I'll tell you what, I was glued to the television as we watched the resignation of the Deputy Prime Minister over a tax scandal. Nigel Farage, leader of Reform UK, of course, took full advantage of the timing of this as he addressed his party's annual conference.
But you simply can't get away, can you, from being the Housing Secretary and avoiding £40,000 of council tax. And it screams to entitlement. It screams to a government that, despite all the promises that this would be a new, different kind of politics, is as bad, if not worse, than the one that went before.
Now, he was on fire. He was as equally scathing of the Labor reshuffle as he was of Conservatives.
Yet another reset. They are not fit to govern. The Conservative Party are riven. In fact, Nadine Dorries said overnight, the Conservative Party are dead. They will not be forgiven for their betrayals over the course of the last 5 years. Mass migrations, illegal immigrants crossing the Channel, sky-high taxes.
So much to discuss. Joining me now, Conservative commentator, columnist for The Times, former advisor to Boris Johnson before he sensationally quit the Conservative Party and has now joined Reform UK, a good friend of mine, Tim Montgomerie. Well, Tim, I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be anywhere if you're in politics other than London over the weekend. So much happened. People here in Australia have watched Angela Rayner. She's a poster child for the hard left. She was tipped to be on her way to roll the Prime Minister. This is a big a setback for not just the Labor government, but I'm assuming the Labor Party.
Absolutely. And first of all, Peter, it's lovely to be back on your show. It's been a little while. And a lot has happened in British politics since we were last in conversation. And to paint the big picture for your audience, the extraordinary thing that has happened in British politics is, for all of my sort of adult life, the two main parties, Labour and the Conservatives, have won 70, 80% of the vote. At the moment, the vote of those two parties combined is only about 40%. What we are seeing in British politics is a collapse of the centre. The main two parties that have dominated British politics are in retreat because it's a historic moment, really. We are seeing them simultaneously fail. They're failing to deliver, and also they're being engulfed by the kind of ethics scandals of the kind that you've just highlighted with Angela Rayner. And Nigel Farage is a very impressive politician. He is definitely taking advantage of the opportunity, but it is the simultaneous collapse of Labour and the Conservatives that's created this opportunity and the significant moment in British politics that could see British politics reshaped in a way that we haven't seen in the post-war period.
I want to get to the reshuffle in a moment, but let's stay with this point because you were at the Reform conference on the weekend. I'll say this for people at home. Labor, the Tories and Reform have annual conferences in a way we don't in Australia. We have them sort of every 3 or so years. You do them every year. You're at the Reform conference. The timing couldn't have been better for the Reform Party. But you made some observations, and I picked them up online, about the nature of the modern Tory Party and what they want. You know, they're chasing votes, whereas Reform wants to change the country. And I thought that was very profound.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time in the bars over the weekend, Peter, and it all work, of course, just to meet people. It wasn't just because I enjoy a drink or two. And I spent a lot of time talking to Reform members, and it suddenly sort of clicked in my head, the contrast of having been at lots of Conservative Party conferences. When I talk to Conservative members and politicians, it's always, you know, we've got to control immigration because if we don't control immigration, we won't win this vote or we won't win this constituency. And actually, the extraordinary difference while I was with Reform people was they just said, we need to control immigration or we need to, you know, tackle this crime problem. There wasn't because it was going to get us votes. It was just like raw belief. And, you know, and perhaps in 10 or 15 years' time, the Reform Party will be a different beast. Perhaps it will be influenced by being immersed in politics. But I think what the British people sense is that both Labour and the Conservatives have become political operations primarily, run by politicians, staffed by politicians, completely obsessed by politics. And reform is a new movement. It's people who've just had enough of the small boats crossing the English Channel, had enough of seeing sort of anti-Israel marches in London every single weekend, fed up with the tax burden that they face, and they want to change the country regardless of what it means politically. They want their country back, and it was a fascinating conference to be part of.
Just a quick comment on the new Home Affairs Secretary, because almost an immediate backlash that she's been put in charge of immigration. If you've got a comment there for me, Tim, before we go.
I think she's actually a really impressive person. She's certainly not my politics, but I think because she is a Muslim and perhaps because she's on the left side, she may be able to do more to change the immigration issue than some white politicians. It shouldn't, of course, be that way, Peter, but that's how modern politics works.
Well, we'll watch what plays out. Thank you very much, Tim Montgomerie.